Welcome to the second video in the Russian Helmet Ballistic Test Battery. If you haven't seen the first K6 video, I would strongly recommend watching it first, as it goes into greater detail about my reasoning for the rounds and weapons I'm using for this test. Here are some graphs for the nerds. Also, if you'd like to see the helmet test results before the videos are posted, join my Patreon, where I've uploaded them. The next helmet I'm testing is an original MASKA 1 SCH. Fortunately, this helmet, labeled D13, is in much worse condition than the K6 helmet was. The visor screws seem to have been cannibalized, and the helmet was repainted with what looks like tanker paint. Why is that fortunate, you ask? Good question. This time we can avoid witnessing a factory mint helmet get blemished. But despite the worn condition, this 90s era hardened steel shell and slip visor are perfectly intact, and steel, unlike Kevlar, never expires. These factors make D13 an ideal candidate for destruction, which is what we intend to do. This helmet was paid for by Commando Store. Commando Store sells a lot of military surplus items of every kind, as well as Gondola. They're conducting a Black Friday sale and selling him on their website. See the link in the description. Okay, let's turn down the Starship Troopers music a bit so I can rant. I have a bit of a grudge against MASKAs. As a result of their brutal aesthetics, they've been undeservedly, in my opinion, picked up by video games and their iconic characters, like Rainbow Six Siege's RP-46 wielding moron Tachanka, and Escape from Tarkov's Gopnik Tripolowski wearing Killa. Although, of the two, somehow a random psychopathic bandit using an obsolete helmet from the 90s seems slightly more plausible. Though the protection it offers in Tarkov seems to be a bit overstated. A Gauss 2 rated helmet being able to shrug rifle shots? I don't think so, and I'm going to prove it. Anyway, the helmet is a simple and cheaply made ballistic steel shell that was used throughout a very dark time in Russia's history. It's fair to say that hundreds of bandits, organized criminals, and Chechens all met their end, staring at a man who was looking back at them through the MASKA's visor slit. The reality of the suffering world that the MASKA was used in represents something that I think makes a much more interesting story on its own than the helmet's resurrection in current media. Enough about that bullshit though. Let's test the helmet. Starting with 9mm of a Glock 17. Yeah, that's no surprise. I could empty the mag on this helmet and the result would still be the same. No deformation, no penetration, and no weirdness to show in the slow motion either, just bits of flying ice. Moving on to 357. That was a pretty heavy impact, but the story is still the same. No deformation, no penetration, and so far, no dangerous ricochets like from the K6 test. Moving on to 5.7 SS-190 armor piercing. It looks like the MASKA took the hit even better than the K6 did. Although both helmets defeated the steel penetrator, the MASKA completely deflected it and didn't let the round embed itself inside as we saw with the K6. And so the MASKA passed the pistol tests with flying colors and moves on to 5.45. Trying to give the MASKA even more chance, I backed up to 36 feet. And well, again, you could have guessed it, the helmet couldn't stand up to the rifle shot, leaving a perfect 5.45mm shaped hole at the bottom of an ugly gash that goes up the helmet, a clear penetration. I will say that at greater ranges of, for example, 300 meters, these steel helmets are able to ricochet and stop rifle rounds, though at those ranges the rounds have dropped to near what the 5.7 bullet's velocity is out of the barrel. It is possible to get a lucky ricochet from a rifle shot at closer ranges with these metal helmets, but relying on luck is really dumb. But we're not done yet. We still have to test the visor. Again, starting with 9mm. Hold up, did you fucking see that? Let's play it again. That ricochet was really out for my blood that time. It's a good thing I was wearing proper protection. I didn't even notice that one until I was editing the footage. Like I said before, don't rely on luck. Make sure you protect yourself on the range. Anyway, with no penetration or deformation, let's move on straight to 5.7 AP. Shot. No shenanigans this time. The 5.7 makes a hard impact and is deflected off. It seems like the visor, even though it's a tiny bit thinner in the helmet, is able to take just as much damage. Moving on to 5.45. Again, we've got a strong hit with damage running up the point of impact. Might have something to do with the steel flexing as it's hit. Overall, the performance of the MASKA just about matches the titanium K6, even though the K6 is around half a pound lighter. Though, one obvious gripe about this type of visor is that it lacks ballistic glass. If any rounds or shrapnel get through that slit, you're finished. But the bottom line is, I would trust this helmet with my life. I've got to say, I was expecting a bit more from the 5.7 SS190 rounds. They're hitting harder than any other pistol could, but they're just not making it through the first metal helmets. However, I've read that the penetrator was built with soft armor in mind, so for the next video I'll test some helmets that are made out of ballistic fabrics. Sadly, I can't give away the MASKA, however I will be donating another random helmet that I tested in its place. All you have to do is leave a comment on this video and you'll be entered in the giveaway. Goodbye, and stay on the bounce.